Hey everyone, this is Geeky Panda here, Brandon guys, with another one of my Panda vlogs, and this time I'm going to talk a little bit more about my experience working at Dollar General. Now, for the most part, it's a retail job, and retail jobs, you're gonna go through a lot, whether it be with the store itself, the customers, everything. It has its share of high energy, stressful environment to work in. Now, when I was working at Dollar General, I would always complain about it whenever I would make content on my streams and stuff like that. And I figure, let me tell you a bit of the story that we kind of went through. So during the start of the pandemic, I was put in furlough from the casino. So without a job, I started looking at options, where can I work and all that dandy stuff. I actually had a local Dollar General near me that was hiring. I got to know the employees that were there, including the manager, because I would go there a lot to get a few things I need. Because I'm not gonna lie, Dollar General, they got a lot of stuff that is actually really good that you need. So you can go in, get your stuff usually, and just get out. So I figured, why not work at Dollar General for the time being? What could go wrong? Turns out everything. So it was the famous last word scenario. Now, working at the store again wasn't bad. It's retail. You're gonna get a whole mess of issues and stuff like that, trying to make sure to put those products on shelves, helping customers, and so on and so forth. Now, the company did, in a way, take care of its own. There are benefits. If you're, for me, I was a supervisor. A lead sales associate, and for part-time or full-time, you do get benefits. Obviously, full-time you get better benefits, but during the pandemic, they actually gave you bonuses. For being, hey, thank you for being with us. Here's a bonus and stuff like that. And we got, I want to say, 2 to 3 bonuses, which, it's something. It helped out. So, I'm always gonna remember that basically. Though, over the time I worked at the store, from beginning to end, things just started to go downhill, and my logic is usually just tough it out, things will even itself out. And sadly, because of the manager at the that was there, things just got a lot worse as time goes on. It was basically a snowball effect. Now, we could pretty much all agree that or now, in the past that I mentioned, the managers basically pretty much the main cause of all the stress and issues that have been popping up at the store. Over the past year, she would go out of her way to fire someone that she deemed, was like, oh, we could totally replace them. Oh, they suck at their job. She would literally go out of her way, like find any little reason, complain about said employee, talk behind their back, all that dandy stuff. It was, she always viewed herself as like the golden child of Dollar General, like someone who could do no wrong, that exceeds expectations. But it's like a two-faced scenario. It's like there's two sides of the coin, and it's just she feels like she's this, but I have to say that she's very extremely controlling, like too control, like something like it was bad, like it was bad. Like she had to be there, she had to control everything. She like But the things we got to deal with is basically for the first part, for me, I never got fully trained. You learn a lot as you go, pretty much. Like there were, for instance, on the register, I didn't know until 6 to 8 months down the line that there was a price check option on the register. Now, we've had a price checking machine behind the register that we use, or we just use our handhelds, which, it takes a little bit to get going. But I never realized on the register, there was a price check on there. No one mentioned it to me. None of the other employees knew it existed. The manager didn't even mention it. I'm like, okay. There were like a few options and stuff like that. But the thing that irked me the most is if our equipment fails, it's our fault, or like, oh, why is there a line at this register? It's your fault. Like, for instance, our POS system, it wasn't the best. It wasn't, the newest thing out there. It definitely showed its age, but it worked. Over time, though, it started failing a lot, and one of the main reasons is the manager tried to fix it herself because, oh, she knows everything, and she started messing with the wires down there. And generally speaking, if you don't know what you're doing, especially when it comes to the computers, don't do anything. Let someone, like, we have contractors that come in and fix it for us, but she made it worse, basically. So, and which basically resulted in the POS system being a lot slower than usual, which if it's a lot slower, especially when we got people buying a lot of items, then there's going to have a line that will just fill up in the store quite easily. Now, for instance, I had this exact situation happen to me. Now, Now, a lot of the employees will agree at the store that whenever it comes to the register, I'm pretty fast. I will get what I need to get done, and, you know, so on and so forth. I will, you know, I'll try to get you out of the door, especially when there's a line going. She came, I had to call her, like, hey, can you help me out here real quick, because I got a line and the register's acting up. She told me, like, oh, you have to be faster on the register. And it's like you got the line because of you. I'm like, no. Like, that irked me a lot. And when I had a line, you know, because the register was acting up, I literally brought her to the register, like, you see, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm exactly dealing with. You know, it is running slow. It took a minute to try to charge the card. And there was a slight chance, a very slight chance, I want to say like a 1% chance that it will double charge you. So, and she would look at it and be like, oh, okay. And because I try to show her, like, no, this is the reason why we have lines, because the POS system is slow. Like, we need to get someone to fix it. So yeah, she said she ordered replacement parts, but she didn't, and we had to find that out the hard way. She would actually also openly get into full arguments with not only employees but also with patrons, to the point that they're yelling at them, even though when it's not really their fault, which is really awkward to hell when you're like there, be like, oh boy, we got people around us, oh lordy. Other things to note is that she would, I saw her do this multiple times too, and she openly stated it, that, you know, for, you know, when you're buying cigarettes and stuff like that, you have to check your ID regardless of age. Now, and I've encountered I encountered people who were like, oh, you know, I'm old enough. Yeah, I know, but I got to see the ID. I got to make sure it's valid. Like, some guy gave me his ID, and it expired back in 2006, and he flipped out, refused to, just dropped everything and just walked out of the store complaining to high hell, you know, like, I'm sorry, it's 2021 and your ID's expired since 2016, you know. So when someone wanted to buy cigarettes, she was at the register, she would look at it and tell them, like, oh, you know, I don't look at your age or the expiration date. I just look at it to make it look like I'm, you know, checking it on the camera. And I'm like, why are you saying this? And she would do, not just one person, she did it a couple times too. And I'm like, oh, like, if you told that to, like, because I know sometimes the state will go into a stores and stuff like that, making sure, you know, they're doing, you know, what's right with the, you know, cigarettes, checking IDs, the age and all that stuff. If it was like an undercover state employee just, you know, checking to make sure that we're doing our job when it comes to cigarette sales, oh my god, we would, no, like, it's crazy, because she would like be honest about, like, why isn't this stocked, why didn't you do this and stuff like that, why wasn't the store recovered or, you know, like, cleaned up. And she would actually, you know, not do the things she like hounded us to do. And when we confronted her about, like, oh, you know, oh, it doesn't matter because I'm the manager, or like, oh, you know, I don't care, I'm like, so it's okay for us to get in trouble for what we try to get done. You know, we try to get everything done, we try to keep it clean, we try to keep it organized, we try to recover the store, and we couldn't. But we got in trouble for that. But when it's, you know, when you don't do your job and actually recover the store and clean it, you don't feel like you get yourself in trouble? Like, I'm sorry, you're like, that's just ass backwards logic right there. Like, there was another moment too, like, she, you know, her significant other got potentially exposed to COVID, so she was out for, you know, she was out, you know, obviously, but she came back 3 days earlier, before her, you know, than she was supposed to, because the doctor says, you know, you're out for 10 days, but she came back 3 days earlier or something like that, and we're all like, is this supposed to happen? Are you allowed to do this? You're coming back 3 days earlier from what your doctor told you specifically. You can come back on this day. She's like, oh no, it's okay. I'm like, okay. I'm just saying, we're in the middle of pandemic, you know, just, you know, fuck me for trying to, you know, stay healthy. So, you know, she would just, she would just constantly, like, talk down on you. She would just cause so much stress. And she would, Jesus Christ, like when I got promoted to full-time, you know, lead, even though I didn't really ask for it, she just did, like, oh, you're full-time now. Like I didn't give you the okay, you know. She didn't tell me that at first that my benefits, I would have to redo them again. because when I tried to get, you know, glasses, my, you know, my medical wasn't accepted. I'm like, what are you talking about? This should, my medical should be good. She also didn't tell me that I actually got vacation days. She actually told another employee that I was friends with that, like, she told her, like, hey, you know, don't tell him that he's actually got vacation days. And I'm like, wow. It's just the culmination of everything she did just added more stress on us. We just felt like we were, like, basically I was even looking into the legal factor of a hostile work environment. Like, I know another employee that she fired, she was trying to get something done, like she was going to HR told her, you know, like, you know, it's, you know, the DM has to do it and stuff like that. You know, even we talked to HR, and, you know, not just myself, like, basically a lot of the employees there, if not all, we were all just fed up. And they said that, oh, we have to talk to the... it has to go through the manager first, and then the district manager, like, well, the person in question is the manager. And the district manager said she would do things, and again, it was taking time, but at the same time, she had a whole region to, you know, keep an eye on. It wasn't getting done. And like, the manager said multiple times that if she got, like, because when they were looking into her, she told us that, you know, if she gets fired or something like that, she's gonna bring the store down. You know, she doesn't mind if the store goes to hell. Like, you know, this is it. You know, this is basically the manager we were working with. You know, I have to say, if it wasn't for the assistant manager, like, she was, like, the assistant manager was basically the glue holding us all together. She was kind, she was nice, she actually treated you like a human. She didn't need to interrogate you or yell at you if you got written up. She actually, you know, asked you to come into the office, sit you down, talk to you, said what happened, and see how we can improve things. You know, that's how you're supposed to do it. The manager would just interrogate you, making you feel like you were like an episode on 24, you know, basically. Like, yeah, I had some write-ups and stuff like that, but, you know, some mistakes that I commit, but other times it was just stuff that, again, like, oh, I didn't recover an area. Well, it got busy and there was a lot of things to do. But again, the manager had to recover an area that she was supposed to do, but she didn't. And she's like, oh, and someone else can do it. I'm like, you told us that mentality is what is making it harder for us to recover and clean the store, because, you know, they weren't able to do it. And you're doing it and not realizing that, you know, like, you're supposed to be the lead singer of the band making examples, and yet you're just taking the examples and saying, like, oh, it doesn't affect me. No, like, good God. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, she would make new rules for the store that goes against the company schedule, because the company has, like, a schedule and stuff like that, stuff that we're supposed to do ideally, and she would take that and ramp it up to 11, and then she would write you up for, like, what? No, we have the company schedule right here. You know, we don't have to do this one particular thing all the time, every single day. You know, they have specific days that laid out. Just make it to give us an easier workload so we can get everything that we need to do get done. So, like, the manager hounded me on, you know, like, oh, do everything on the board. They're like, it's like the to-do list, like, do it. They're like, oh, it's like, okay, you know, like, it's just the amount of stress involved is like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's when she fired me too, it was like, the assistant manager, first off, didn't even see that coming and all that dandy stuff. And she was like, you know, I'm sorry, you know, this really sucks and stuff like that. Like, it's gotten to the point where I've worked there for over a year, and other people are like, holy shit, how did you do that? You know, like, I don't know. The other employees that were there around my time, or, you know, near it, they're pretty much almost all gone. You know, it's just, again, we all agree that the manager was the cause of the issue. We tried to, you know, rally, you know, all of us together, inform, you know, HR, inform DM. This is what's going on. This is what's, you know, what's been happening. This is one of the reasons why we're, like, morale's gone to shit and everything's going to hell in a handbasket here. But I don't know. Like last I heard, like, she's leaving, you know, and stuff like that. She already put in her 2 weeks and stuff, and we're all like, oh, okay. And it just sucks, because it's like, we had a really good crew. We had, you know, we had things down. Like, granted, there were some things, yeah, we had bumps in the road, but we usually got through them at the end of the day and stuff like that. But it's just, this was honestly just too much. It was just, like, if the manager didn't do what she did, you know, be such a control freak, say one thing and didn't even do it the next and stuff like that, and it did all these issues, it wouldn't be that bad. It honestly would not be that bad to work there, but it was. Like, I'm sure, you know, again, it's not all Dollar Generals. I'm sure there are some really great, awesome managers, you know, out there, and you know, really great, you know, assistant managers that I had out there, you know, but it's just. That was just a situation. It was just it was just bad. Like, I was literally looking up everything I needed to look up to figure out like what constitutes a hostile work environment, see my legal options. I even told the DM that, like, listen, I'm looking at legal options here. So yeah, but that is pretty much it in a nutshell. That is what I was, you know, dealing with there at the store. I'm glad I'm out, and I just feel bad for the people that are there still, that, you know, still under her. So, because I know she hired a bunch of new people, and she already started complaining about some of them too. So it's like, oh god, here it just, the clock resets, you know. So it's on, you know, honestly, the stuff that's happened, yeah, like, again, you know, the whole cigarette thing, this, like, holy shit, you know, arguing with employees. Like, I even had arguing with not only employees but also patrons. Like, I even had, like, customers come up to me like, you know, this employee was very rude to me, and I tell them, like, I'm really sorry about that. Who was the employee? And like, they would point at them, and it'd be the manager. I'm like, oh, like, I'm sorry, that's the manager. You know, I'm just really sorry about it. You know, I hope you have a better rest of the day. And, you know, you know, I actually had a customer tell me, like, you know, I'm really sorry they had to work here and deal with that. Like, thank you, you know, but, you know, I just tell the customers, like, listen, I hope you have a great rest of the day out there. You know, I'm very sorry about this. Feel free to do the survey and, you know, point out what you experience, you know. So, but yeah, it's just really good to get that off my chest and stuff like that. It's just, I've been kind of like keeping it in, but, you know, I feel, you know, I just want to get it behind me and stuff like that. Like, I still go to the store because, again, it's convenient. It's right there. They got all the stuff I need, and there's some really good prices on some things. So I try to avoid it when she's there, when the manager is there. So, you know what? But everyone else, with all the employees that I worked with, and with the assistant manager, they were fucking awesome. You know, they were what made working there, you know, more manageable. You know, the good side of the, you know, working at Dollar General for me. So other than that, that's about it for today here, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Sorry if you can't see my face. It's at night, too lazy to turn on camera, so I just put a gameplay video here. Post down in the comment box. Have you ever had something similar happen to you in that type of situation for work? Post it right down there. Other than that, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you enjoyed my video content, and also hit that. I can't even speak English now. I have no caffeine, but yeah, hit that subscribe button. Above all else, I do have a Patreon if you wish to support my content. I do stream on Twitch, and keep being safe out there. This is Geeky Panda here. I'm out. Stay geeky, my friends.